Hello, GIS enthusiasts, students, my dear friends, and rock stars. Welcome to the Geospatial Impact Stories, organized by Geospatial Awareness Hub. I am Manasa and I am one of the proud volunteers at Geospatial Awareness Hub. There's a famous quote by our beloved Jack D'Engemond. The application of GIS is limited only by the imagination of those who use it. We know that GIS aims to guide us in building a good grasp of methodological and technical issues involved in building models to solve geographic problems using spatial tools. Throughout the years, we were introduced to a broad range of modeling techniques using the most powerful state-of-the-art commercial GIS platforms widely used across the world. Mastering these tools equips us with strong skills that even helps us to strengthen our CV for job opportunities or for more research endeavors. On this plot, I would like to tell you, for normal people, no pains, no gains, but pains don't warrant gains. But for GIS lovers, no pains, no gains, but pains do warrant gains. Yay! On this note, I would like to mention that Geospatial Awareness Hub is a thriving name in the field of geospatial industry, encouraging geospatial professionals and aspiring young minds in the field to contribute to the growth of geospatial technology through education, business, and employment. At GAH, we help you understand the world of geospatial technology better. We deal in spreading the word about the growing geospatial business through meetups, education, and many more. Our goals and strategies may be summed up as assistance in growing the geospatial business, creating awareness in the geospatial community through various competitions and job notifications, setting up workshops and lectures on institutional and corporate platforms, back geospatial professionals in strengthening their skills through essential resources and training. In our pursuit to assist the geospatial business grow, we have started a new series titled Geospatial Impact Stories. Today, in the second episode of the series, we are so excited to have Mr. Shravan Kumar, Client Success Director at Gramener. Mr. Shravan Kumar is the Director of Client Success at Gramener, an award-winning data science and analytics company that helps organizations identify data insights and convert them into compelling stories. He oversees their strategic relations with their North American and European clientele, advises them on data-driven strategies, roadmaps, and supports them through best-in-class solutioning, advisory, and tools for effective evidence-based decision-making across the board. More recently, he spearheaded a team of AI experts, data consultants at Gramener that created the beta version of Evergreen's AI for resilient cities data visualization analytics tool. This tool is developed to enable climate adaptation teams make evidence-based decisions to make infrastructural interventions in order to mitigate the vagaries of climate change. Throughout his career, Shravan has advised clients like Unilever, Vodafone, CNN, Abbott Pharma, among many other Fortune 500 names. So excited, right? Now, without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Shravan Kumar to this wonderful and exciting series. Hearty welcome, Mr. Shravan. We are so delighted to share the screen space with you today. Let's move on to the most awaited questionnaire session. Friends, we hope this Geospatial Impact Stories will help you get insights and unique knowledge of GIS solutions for various applications.
Again, thrilled and excited. Thanks for having me in the series and as part of the very second edition of this amazing hub that you've created, and as part of the series of impact stories that you're creating. Really appreciate the work that you've put in, and thrilled and excited to be part of this story today.
Yes. Can we move ahead with our first question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. According to a news report published in December 2020, geospatial analytics market size is expected to grow at a CAGR of 14.2% from 2020 to 2027. So what do you think about the drones and space tech industry's empowerment that help the analytics market?
That's a very pertinent question in the realm of geospatial technology. and there are various avenues that one can work on. One of them is what Gramener specializes in, which is the geospatial artificial intelligence solutions. And our focus is really to bridge the gap between AI and probably the boardroom or the people who take action using geospatial, right? And this question specifically touches upon, of course, the record-breaking pace at which the technology itself is growing, and its application in mitigating and combating different problems like the climate change, natural disasters. There are, flood levels, surface temperatures, wind speeds. Everything can be tracked through this technology. But the power of this technology is really harnessed when you have on-ground sensors or technology that augments the data that you get from geospatial remote sensing, right? From satellite data, if you can amalgamate that with real-time drone data, or even other technologies with sensors getting different data points like temperature, humidity, pH levels of water, so on and so forth. It only enriches the level and the granularity at which you can harness the intelligence from these technologies. And I think we are at a cusp of that golden age of geospatial AI and technology itself, that a combination of these technologies is going to rapidly, evolve over the next 5-10 years. I think in the space of AI or any data oriented solutions that solve a particular problem, it not only helps to have a primary set of data points to give you those insights, but also are augmented with real-time data that can really enrich the quality of insights that you get from it. I think that is where the technologies like drones can be used in agriculture, can be used in flood mitigation, can be even used in military applications, right? So the amount of data and intelligence these technologies have will only add to the CAGR growth that you just mentioned, of it being 24% between now and 2025. And it's an exciting phase to be in this technology, and it's an exciting place at Gramener. It's an amazing place to be exploring this technology and adding to your portfolio.
Wow, that's so great. On this note, what changes can be expected in the digital infrastructure sector that may lead to this?
So when it comes to, I think, infrastructure, it's a multi-sectoral, departmental subject, so to say. But I think one can expect, like the latest announcement by the government of India to kind of liberalize the entire geospatial space, which was previously not so open, right? Itself says volumes about the kind of infrastructure that is going to be in place. For example, constellation of satellites are going to be launched by India and by a lot of smaller companies which otherwise couldn't afford launching satellites and managing them. I think that's going to be democratized to a huge extent. Apart from that, the remotest parts of the world are going to be connected more than ever before. I think with mobiles, a common devices, even in the far-flung areas, not only in India, world over, and the percolation of internet and value-added services, and the entire ecosystem waking up to the notion that everyone can gain from this technology is only going to increase. And with that awareness, I think governments and organizations, for-profit, non-profit, are all going to put that thrust to get the best of the technologies to the common Joe, and hence, it just left to anyone's imagination how it will explode from now on.
Wow, that's so great, Shravan. Moving on to another question. As we know, geospatial artificial intelligence is being applied in various domains, like already you have mentioned, like smart cities, agriculture, forestry, healthcare, disaster management, transportation, real estate, etc. What do you think are the top three domains which are being widely used with accepted advantages and limitations? Any examples you might come across through your experience?
Yeah, sure. I think this is one is very close to my heart, and also I think Sumedh can vouch for this, right? I think one quick application of these technologies is smart cities. Now you don't have to rely on weather stations to tell you uh, what you need to do to mitigate climate change, for example, right? So smart cities is a no-brainer. So everyone knows that geospatial as a technology or artificial intelligence can be used to track, for example, GHG emissions by urban freight vehicles, right? GHG emissions by buildings. So having all of this data is only going to increase how we build our future cities, uh, they being resilient to future shocks and stresses. I think that's one huge application that we are going to see, and we are already seeing, I guess, in smart cities. And the second application that I would like to point out or talk about is the disaster management, or let me broaden the horizon by saying climate change. Right, climate change is one other domain that is going to be in direct um, uh, direct connection with the geospatial technologies that you have. And at Gramener, we are heavily invested in putting the tools and methodologies in the hands of people that are taking these decisions to mitigate climate change, making their cities more resilient to natural calamities like floods or heat waves or even seismic events, right? So I think that's another application, direct application of geospatial artificial intelligence. There's another application I would like to talk about is the combination of forestry and agriculture, which is again a huge proponent or huge area where geospatial is going to come handy. There are companies that have mapped entire farms of a country on a map and have said this is where this crop should be grown at this part of the this time of the year and this time of the season, right? And with that, touching upon the previous question, which we said using drones, using ancillary data, sensor data, agriculture is going to be digitalized and completely in the hands of the people who are farming, and hence it's going to be there's going to be a future where you're going to know each and every grain, where is it coming from and what has it taken the farmer to actually produce that, and hence it will lead to transparency across the board. And we have a lot of problems in the supply chain which are going to be addressed by geospatial technology. I think smart cities, agriculture, and climate change, all these three areas are going to see huge investments from governments, from private organizations to digitize and synthesize all the information that is coming our way and making it usable for the common Joe and decision makers across the world to make smarter decisions and evidence-based investments in their respective areas. And that is the effect geospatial is going to have.
Awesome, Shravan. You are really smart and resilient. So, in the current scenario, we know that contact tracing has emerged as one of the primary methods in COVID-19 response. Could you please elaborate how Gramener is trying to solve this and what all can be done with the data collected using GeoAI?
Sure. I think contact tracing was a reaction to the from the industry so to say, the geospatial industry to the COVID-19 situation, and again applied across the world and across the board, right? And we had companies coming to us, and this was, I think, one of the pharma companies which were at the forefront of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic purely by getting the vaccine earlier, right? So they had to fight that battle of not letting their employees, the frontline workers, get affected by the pandemic. So they wanted to trace who's getting affected and who's going where, right? Although this took a bit of desperate measures by the company itself, but they had a framework in place where they had asked their employees to sign up on an app, and we had data coming in from the app installations from individuals, and they had voluntarily chosen to disclose their locations. And using this, we had to simply see who's meeting whom at what point in time, and for the control room, for the COVID-19 control room of the organization, we had a huge display which was showing us in real time which employee was in close contact with other employees, and if they have been affected by COVID-19 by an external reason, for an external reason, we could flag the employees that were in touch with them or in close contact with that particular person who was at high risk. We could tag the people as medium risk or high risk or low risk. This way, we could at least the system could tell the organization that the people who are at high risk may affect others, in which case you are actually solving the problem at source. And this is a typical application that other companies have also used. I don't know if many of your readers have come across this, but there were these chatbots which used to ask your symptoms and tag you as a high risk or medium risk or low risk. And they used to also trace your location and hence put a tag on your device that you were at high risk because of these symptoms. And this was done by multiple companies like Carto, which is again a geospatial company, which helped the Spanish government do the same thing by contact tracing and then identifying clusters, identifying areas through location intelligence on where probably they need to put the next dollar, or how to avoid stressing the entire healthcare infrastructure in the country or the city, right? If you identify those areas, you could actually invest in temporary quarantine centers or temporary healthcare centers. You could direct all your call center infrastructure or call center capacity to address to queries that are coming from a high risk area rather than a low risk area, right? So you could make these surgical, very precise decisions in real time using geospatial or otherwise location intelligence. And we are proud to say that we were at the forefront of helping some of our clients tackle this problem head on while the COVID-19 response was at its peak. And Geo AI has come to the fore at the right time and helped us make the right impact.
So happy to know that companies are trying hard and smart to help the people and not fall in the virus loop. That's the miracle that technology can do to the society. Thanks to Gramener. Okay, moving on to another question. How does Gramener provide companies and other organizations with custom leading edge solutions for strategic investment decisions?
Yeah, I think we just touched upon this question or the answer. So I think Gramener has a huge body of work going back in time, around 2 years, I guess, where we had heavily invested on our capacity to really upskill our current talent to pick up the new geo AI technologies, and how artificial intelligence and storytelling could bring in the best out of these systems. That's one. And the variety of data that is coming from different sources. I think we wanted to we knew somewhere that this is going to be a very mainstream technology few years down the line, and I think we made the right decisions to have our talent pick up these new technologies, and hence we are happy to share that we had represented um, the geospatial community itself in various talks during that time. And now these solutions and the investments that we've made are coming to fruition, where we are helping a non-profit that is in turn helping a bunch of municipalities in North America to tell them how their city can be more resilient to climate change. For example, recently, by the way, we work heavily. We have a huge body of work with Microsoft AI for Earth, which is putting these data driven tools in the hands of people who are working in conservation and climate change, etc. Now, with Geo AI, what we are able to do today is identify at a micro scale what kind of investments are needed to, for example, make people comfortable in a particular place in the event of a heat wave or even a flood, right? If you go 5 years or maybe 10 years back, there used to be a huge announcement if there was a flood forecast. There used to be a huge announcement which was like a blanket statement. Mumbai is in a high risk zone of flooding, right? What is not said is if Mumbai is getting flooded, what part of Mumbai's a flood forecast. There used to be a huge announcement which was like a blanket statement. Mumbai is in a high risk zone of flooding, right? What is not said is if Mumbai is getting flooded, what part of Mumbai is a huge place, right? What part of Mumbai is actually at high risk, where you have houses probably getting submerged in water, or there is water logging, and hence you may not take a particular route because it will lead to more congestion, right? So there is no information whatsoever. With today's tools and methodologies, and particularly Gramener's Geo AI tools, you can actually at a micro scale say where are the high risk clusters, where are the no-go zones, and where is that the evacuation zones should be put by the government to shift people probably to avoid human loss or material loss, right? And by doing this preemptively, you're actually decreasing the likelihood of this loss itself, and hence you're saving a huge not only money or investment value, but you're also saving a lot of human life from being affected by these events. Now, what I said is only a typical example, but when you scale this up to a national level, which is what you're doing with one of the Canadian governments, where we're telling them if if a heat wave occurs, where will it occur, and why will it occur? I mean, the causality of it. Why is it happening? Maybe it is because of a building or an industry that is in in the vicinity, or if there is a huge building that is too old and has not been worked upon over the years, that is emitting a lot of greenhouse gases, and hence it is causing a lot of heat wave. So we are able to tell at a micro scale where to put the right interventions, so that you make the right decisions and investments in your infrastructure to mitigate this climate change. And while the probability of human loss is less in North America and Canada and such countries, but what they're able to do is surgically identify those places where they have to put probably gardens, more greenery, more cooler surfaces, to make people comfortable in their day-to-day lives. And yes, so when you scale this up to national level, it becomes hugely strategic. And Canada, I don't know if I mean, this is for the readers or the viewers' consumption. Canada is at the forefront of climate change. Their glaciers are melting. They've heated, as a nation, they've heated up by 1.5 degrees centigrade over the last 4-5 decades, which is more than any other country in history, and hence they need to invest a huge amount. And there's a stat that they're going to invest around $18 trillion over the next 5 to 6 years. And that money, when it goes to the right hands, people using such technology, that money is going to be strategically used and put well to action. So that is what we are doing as Gramener in developing these solutions of what you call leading edge.
Yeah, that's so great. Really, those investment decisions are really very important for any company or even a society. From you, that we got to know that your AI can actually go deeper and on a micro scale to understand the root cause of a problem. So glad to know this from you, Shravan.
Hi, would you like to throw some light on how GeoAI is helping people to get rid of mosquito diseases, and how the solution played in Gramener, if you are comfortable?
Sure. I think that's a very good point. And now that you mention it, I think we used the geospatial technology, and I've been lucky to be part of a team that was at the bleeding edge of the solution. This amazing solution that we developed for again a non-profit that is running its vision of eradicating all mosquito-borne diseases across the entire globe, right? That is their mission. And when you take up such a huge mission, the only way for you to scale up to such global levels of productivity or impact is technology, right? And they wanted to use technology to kind of identify where mosquito-borne diseases are more prevalent. And turns out that, I mean, we all know that mosquito-borne diseases are more commonplace in tropical countries, and hence, so we targeted cities that are 1 minute. Sorry, guys, can I resume? I think you guys can edit, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
So I was saying that, yeah. So the point I was trying to make is that using technology, you could actually reach all these countries where mosquito-borne diseases are very commonplace. And how do you identify this, right? It turns out that over over the years, the organization that we were working with found out that it's a common logic that wherever more humans are there, the mosquitoes breed over there, and hence there are more mosquitoes in those areas. So we kind of found a proxy of mosquito-borne diseases being prevalent in pockets. Now, again, coming back to the fact that geospatial allows you to make micro scale interventions. What that means is we could identify pockets of a particular city where people live. Okay, and through that we are able to identify where mosquitoes breed. Right, if you intervene in these pockets, you are uh, well on your way to mitigate these mosquito-borne diseases. Right, so it all boils down to identifying where people live. Right, and when you have to identify pockets of population that has more people living in it, or there are more buildings, or there are huge settlements, how could you do it? So geospatial AI came into application. Take a satellite image of a city, and if you look just around, or just zoom into the satellite image, you're able to find that there are a bunch of buildings. You can easily guess that the population would be more over there. But when you have to do this for the entirety of a city, it is difficult for a human being to actually point out uh, where more people live and where less people live, more so with precision. You can't say that there are 10 people living and here and then 100 people living there. So who else could do this for us? AI, right? So the answer was AI. So we combined the expertise that we had within Gramener of our AI team and the team that specialized in geospatial technology. So we took the best of both of these worlds and identified in proxy to the mosquito diseases or mosquito breeding pockets in the city by identifying where people live, and hence we are able to solve this problem by going back to the organization and saying, hey, here is a 40 meter or 50 meter or 100-meter pocket where you need to do some intervention or spread some medicine or things like that. But better yet, the organization that we were working with, they had a better technology. They had a technology where they had these good mosquitoes which do not contain any virus or bacteria that cause the diseases like dengue or yellow fever, so on and so forth. So they had a neutralizing genetically modified mosquitoes that was bred in lab, and they used to release these mosquitoes in the pockets that we identified. What these mosquitoes go and do is they mate with the wild mosquitoes, and over a period of time, the entire mosquito population, when they breed with the bad mosquitoes, they result in an overall population of mosquitoes that do not have the mosquito-borne disease-causing capabilities anymore. So by neutralizing the wild mosquito population by releasing the good mosquitoes and using Geo AI, we were able to identify where to release these mosquitoes, because releasing mosquitoes is fine, but if you can't do this at a city level. In a Mumbai kind of city, you can't go and release mosquitoes worth catering to the entire city. So hence you identify these pockets and release mosquitoes only there, which reduced the cost for such an implementation, such a huge change management program by almost like 90%. And this organization was able to do this in scores of cities and hence make an impact. And turns out that the solution will save at least 100 million people from being affected by these mosquito-borne diseases across the world.
Wow, that's so really exciting. Hope we'll be mosquito free someday and free from those itchings a lot. Okay. Really great to know that Gramener is doing this non-profit AI wonder for eradicating mosquito-borne diseases. Thank you so much for letting us know.
Sure.
Yeah. Moving on to another question. Your thoughts about Atmanirbhar Bharat and liberalization of the mapping industry. Will there be any security issues? Can you comment on the reliability and integrity of the data that will be made available?
That's a very pertinent question. I think let us talk about the liberalization of the mapping industry itself. I think the geospatial policy that has just come from the government of India is a huge step, a huge leap of faith towards first democratizing such solutions, which were otherwise restricted to the military sector, who used to kind of only track, who used the technology just to track the enemy and their installations on the other side of the border. So that was like the application of geospatial that we've seen over the years, right? As kids, as movie goers and movie watchers. So that is a fancy idea of geospatial we had, but that kind of fantasy world is no more a fantasy world. It will become a reality where a common person or a student or a volunteer can get up and running with their own map, which does a particular thing. It could solve an issue in their locality, right? Or which could even solve something basic as agriculture. So if a farmer wants to map their crop, I'm not saying this is going to happen right away, but at some point in time in the future, a farmer can track their crop on a map and then say here is my produce, and this has been affected by a flood. He or she can go to the crop insurance company or organization and claim the right funds that are due to be paid to them. Okay, so I think the reason for my giving that example of a farmer is that the people who are otherwise not at all familiar with technology can use the mapping or geospatial capabilities with the new policy, and that is the effect that we might see in the future, and which is great, right? Secondly, um, there was a mention, I was reading in an article, I think during the Kargil war. I think this is more of a military example, but during the Kargil war, US had refused to give India the access to the GIS maps that they had to track Pakistan's movements on the other side of the border. We were denied it, right? And coming from that place in 1999, and right now we're sitting in 2021, having these technologies, a common person can actually help the military by tracking probably the enemy installations on the other side of the border, which will kind of, again, all this is to say that this policy is only going to explode the applications, the number of applications, the kind of applications that we have today. And it's a very good thing for the technology industry itself. My thoughts about Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think this should have happened long time ago. Why China was, left, right, center investing in multiple infrastructure capabilities, increasing its defense capabilities. We do not have enough infrastructure or measures taken where we could develop technology that can be used by the military or the government or any other agency, right? So I think Atmanirbhar Bharat is going to set the pedestal for smaller companies, smaller individuals to make an impact at the highest level. I think it's high time that India produces its own technology, consumes its own technology, and products, and be self-sufficient within itself. And I don't think anything is actually stopping us from doing that. It is just the culture, probably the change in mindset that needs to happen. But otherwise, we were always self-sufficient. I think it's high time we do that. It's good that it has been given a name or a shape right now by the government, and I think one needs to appreciate that effort. Coming to the security issues and the reliability, integrity, what have you, for the policy, I think this was anyway there. It was going to come. It is not the problem, the security issue, once the geospatial as a technology opens up with all these satellites that are taken into space. I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be privacy concerns, but I think that is where governments should work together. Organizations should work together to form policies around how a particular satellite data is going to be used, or even drone data, right? So DGCA has come up with their own guidelines on what's the weight of a particular drone, what is the height at which you can fly such a drone, and what purposes you can use that data for. If it is taking a lot of pictures, maybe it can't fly in your city, urban areas, and so having these guidelines from the government and transparency across the board from different private organizations is what is the need of the hour to establish that privacy rules and guidelines so that no one crosses the line. These are going to be part and parcel. I think it needs commitment from volunteers and awareness hubs like yours to kind of increase that level of accountability by all parties. I think, governments cannot do it themselves. The pace at which governments increase their technology, is always going to be lesser than the kind of technology Google would come up with, or a geospatial awareness hub would come up with, right? So I think it needs a huge multi-sectoral, multi-departmental. Sorry, that was my Google Assistant. So I think, I think it needs a huge investment, accountability, and transparency across the board, without which this will not and cannot happen.
Sure. Shravan, considering the time that we have had, like we have only, I guess, 5 minutes, and there are two different questions. One will be kind of asked as a part of recording, and one is kind of offline question. So the question is like, if people want to connect with Gramener for the different geospatial technologies that have been provided till now, how they can leverage for their own purposes, what applications, sectors that Gramener is looking forward for coming years to have GeoAI implemented, and how to basically reach to Gramener for all of these concerns.
Thanks for raising this. But I think to reach a Gramener, before even I answer that question, right? So there is an entire set of solutions, or like I said, our entire work in this space has been actively noted by multiple stakeholders, both enterprise and non-profit sectors, and it has caused a huge impact in multiple ways. And we have a huge, very, very healthy and huge relationship with the Microsoft AI for Earth as an initiative, and we'll keep working on such solutions. I think the best way to reach us is gramener.com, our website. spatial analytics if you want to check out more about our solutions in the space concerning spatial analytics, AI, and the amalgamation of both, and the application, the resilient cities that I spoke about, smart farming, fighting deadly diseases. All of this work has been listed in the page. It's called, that goes gramener.com, gramener.com/spatial-analytics. Right. So that is, once you go there, you will be, you can find out more about the work, and you have a little button where you can click and book a call with us to find out more and have a chat about how we can help you. And we also have a huge community edition of our solution and of our frameworks that we use to develop these solutions, that one can find again in our website. So for volunteers, for students, for people who want to explore, we are always in the lookout for talent and passionate people that can solve problems out there, and we'll be happy to have a chat. You can also get in touch with me at Shravan, that goes sh-ra-van on Twitter, and on LinkedIn with /Shravan Kumar A, just directly Shravan Kumar A. So those are the ways that you can reach out, and we're happy to chat with you on what you think about this talk, our work, and in general spatial analytics.
So I will put those links in the description of YouTube, as well as the articles that will come up after this. And one offline question is, like, Manasa, you can have the like welcome notes in the end. So one thing, right now with Geospatial Awareness Hub, what are the kind of views that you have, and what are the kind of the fields with respect to the current trends that are going on, and how we can leverage and make people aware about the geospatial technology. Earlier, there were so many less people who knew about this and what it can do. So that's why we came across this Geospatial Impact Stories, so that people from different, not only the GIS companies, core GIS companies, but people who are in analytics or core AI company, that can also come into this and make this technology a kind of technology that can blend with any other applications which are ongoing. So how we can make it from our side as a community driven organization? Any suggestions on that?
Yeah, so very good point. First of all, let me tell you guys that your initiative is like one of its kind. I haven't come across any such organization that is that has a very specific agenda or vision of making people aware of geospatial as a technology. That's an amazing thought to start with. That's an amazing initiative. Okay, so commendable on that. But on suggestions, right? See, in our technology world, depending on what you want to do, right? Let's take an example of how you make a video viral, or how you make a movie better, or reach out to more people. So it so happens that we did not understand Slumdog Millionaire as a movie. Okay, once it won the Oscars, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, that has a reference to India. Everyone is watching it now." Okay, we A.R. Rahman won the award, so on and so forth. So I think people find it cooler for reasons that are beyond our control. That people find it cooler when you have a bigger organization batting for you. All right. So if you were to kind of do what you guys are doing already, have these hubs, have these impact stories told to people. But I think one suggestion I have is rope in someone like a Mapbox or a Kato. They also work with a lot of volunteers. They also work with a lot of non-profits. I don't know if you're already doing it. They have a specific section to help out people in the non-profit sector. Okay, and they do not charge anything for featuring you and putting a story on their website, which has far more users than we do, right? I think reaching out to one of these Mapbox, Carto, and working with them on a simple solution, to as simple as getting a map to get it published on Mapbox website. That itself will get you eyeballs, all right? And once those get enough traction, you have your case, okay? So I think there'll be more people visiting you. There will be more people wanting to know what you do, and after that, I think Sumedh, Manasa, Shubham, I'm pretty sure you know what to tell them once they're onboarded, right? So that's a quick hack I wanted to tell you guys, if not already being done. I know we are on top of the hour, but another suggestion I have is have these little videos, very catchy videos posted on your Instagram. Instagram is another place that you need to be, okay? Post these small reel videos, or something like a storytelling thing. 1990 there was only, even military did not have geospatial, but now a common Joe has. That's a powerful story to tell. So come up with these stories slightly creatively and put it on Instagram. There will be people that will be watching you. I'm pretty sure even with your personal network, you can reach to at least 10,000 people in no time, right? Get in touch with technology people, get in touch with influencers on Twitter, ask them if they could retweet some of your work, and that is the way to go about it, I guess.
Definitely. Like while you were talking about Mapbox and Carto, so recently there was a special data science conference from Carto, and we were one of the, we were the only non-profit and awareness creation people who were part of their media and events posting. So we got a chance to get highlighted with Carto as well for the year 2020, which was online, and let's see for this year too. With respect to that only, so there are different sorry, I'm taking longer time, but we're trying to have a geospatial think tank of the companies which are working in this particular field. So as the liberalization is going to happen, there will be many unstructured things, and only industry people who are working in it can make good policies as well as structured way of. So right now, if you see, there are many unstructured practices as compared to normal IT things. So when you're getting a particular geospatial data, so a simple thing like there is a standard called paper standard which is being used for Python, something like that, which can give a direction to overall geospatial applications around the field and give it a particular structure. So we are trying to have by having these impact stories, we are trying to build connections and invite companies to be in the think tank where this solution can be in a structured way, or the policies can be driven through all of these companies which are currently working in IT. So this is the in general stuff that I wanted to talk about. Manasa, you can continue with your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Shravan Kumar, for such spellbinding and insightful conversation and wonderful suggestions. It was great talking to you. Best wishes to you from the team GAH. We appreciate you taking time to share this very useful information despite your busy schedule. It was our pleasure to have you as our guest today. Friends, that's the end of today's episode in Geospatial Impact Stories. We'll come up with another exciting story. Stay tuned to Geospatial Awareness Hub. Stay safe, have a nice time, and happy GIS. Thank you.